Hello there. Well, what I've acquired a few months ago is a Hartop H-type engine. I bought it from a scrapyard in Bolton. It was advertised as having no magneto or carburettor. I thought, well, fair enough, we can get something to get that going. It's also advertised as turns over freely. Well, the reason it turned over freely is because there was no conrod or piston inside it, which is going to make it a very interesting restoration job indeed. There's a number of avenues I suppose I could go down for that part of the job, and that would be to advertise and get the parts of people who may have them. The problem is, rare as hen's teeth, aren't they really? Certainly a conrod and piston. The magneto, yes, I can get all sorts of different magnetos to fit that. And the carburettor, well, I've got a Villiers carburettor from Mark 10, which should just do the job, certainly enough to get it going. The way around the piston and conrod, having given it some thought, was to use a Wolseley piston and conrod. It's a 3-inch bore, as is the Wolseley. But obviously the problem being that the conrod itself is too long for the Hartop engine. And again, there's a number of things we could do about that. One would to actually cut the conrod itself and get it all welded up again, which is a bit messy really, mucking about that way. Another version we could do is to make a packing piece to fit between the body of the engine and the cylinder block. To raise the cylinder block up, again, I'd need to know the information about that, about the depth, the height of the piston is at top dead centre to the top of the bottom of the cylinder head. So, started to have some research on the internet. Nothing. Can't find very, very little about Hartop engines. So the next option was the museums, and very kindly the people at the Internal Fire Museum, Mark Tewkesbury particularly, brilliant information he sent back to me. I asked him if he could measure theirs, and theirs is slightly different to this one. It's an earlier model. This is approximately 1935. Theirs is a lot earlier than that. But I was banking on the strength that, well, a lot of engine designers didn't change much the general measurements of the engine, so I was taking it as read of what he's got is going to be similar to this engine. He very kindly measured things up for me, and we worked out what the combustion chamber size was. From there I could then calculate out the packing piece required to put underneath the cylinder block to lift that up, of which I've machined up a piece for that. It's one way of getting around getting the engine going again. Now obviously the purists will say, well, it needs to have all the original parts. Yes, it does, but again, it's finding those parts, and the easiest way around it is to do that, build it all up, put a piston in it, get it running first, let's have the thing up and running again, and then I can spend some time trawling around the scrap yards or engine rallies and see if I can find the parts for it. I think this is part of the fun really of stationary engine hobbies. I bought me Lister D-Type, which is actually there, as a bit of a scrappy engine. Parts were missing off that, of which I replaced. I made the fuel tank myself for that and the exhaust. But generally it was all together. I've just recently given it a rebore actually, that one, because it was very, very sloppy on the piston. So things I'd learnt off building the D-Type engine, I can use some of that information to build this one. But it's alright bailing an engine and just tarting it up a bit. This is a bit more interesting. It goes into a bit more depth, and I'm learning a hell of a lot from it. And I think the rewards from getting it up and running again will be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into this engine. I've had it stripped down once just to measure some parts up, and I put it back together again just purely for filming this. So I think all I can say at this point in time is watch this space, and I'll update people as and when we get parts done on it. Thank you very much for viewing.